Here we go. These are random terms. Some of them you'll recognize from the actualis that you did yesterday. Okay, so, or hopefully did yesterday. Okay, try that one. Reiseauskunft. Any idea what that is? Travel. Kind of. Travel information. This could be a place that you go, or it could be a brochure type thing. So it could be an office that you walk into, for example. Okay. So Auskunft and Information are both words for information. So you'll see them both. Okay. Wie sagt man non-smoking? Do you remember that? Nichtraucher. Gut. So like I said when we were talking about the homework, that this is a new phenomenon that they ban all smoking on trains. So probably 2-3 years ago that they changed that rule over. So, and it was also only probably about 10 years ago or so that they changed the smoking age in Germany from 16 to 18. So you used to be able to buy cigarettes from machines on the corner without any, ID or anything like that, like literally a little machine at the end of an alley type of thing. And now, if those things are still there, they've attached a special device to them, so you have to swipe your card, which is like a fancier version of our driver's license. So you have to swipe something in order to prove your age. So big changes in that area. So all right. So then how would you say smoker, just to make Raucher. Yeah, just making sure. Okay. Next one. Wie sagt man track? Like train track. Remember? The other one. Bahnsteig is one. Gleis. Good. Yep. So Bahnsteig and Gleis are fairly interchangeable. Okay, so Gleis. Bahnsteig. I would say Gleis is probably a little bit more used, which is nice because it's the shorter one. Okay, so that's a track or a platform. Gleis literally means track, but they usually ask, what track does my train leave from or whatever. They don't say which platform does it leave from, but they could, and in that case they'd use Bahnsteig. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. How do you say that one? Schlafwagen. Schlafwagen. Good. What does that one mean? Sleeping car. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's another kind of sleeping car option. Do you remember what that one was called? The one with the couches, yeah. Liegewagen. Good. Okay, everybody try that one. Liegewagen. Okay. Yeah, so they call it a couchette car usually. Okay. So if you go on a night train, so one that'll be like, it's kind of like a red eye sort of thing as far as flights go, where you leave late at night and then you arrive the next morning, so then you sleep on the plane. Yeah, so in this case, you're sleeping on the train. So they have special types of compartments that you can reserve instead of a traditional seat. Okay, so instead of sleeping straight up like you have to in an airplane, which doesn't work very well and is rather uncomfortable, right? You can pay a little bit extra than you would for a normal ticket and get a Liegewagen, okay, which is more along the lines of a futon. So they have little couches that they almost slide down into place like a futon does. Then it becomes more of a bed. Okay? So that is one option. And then a more expensive option would be the Schlafwagen, which you get, it's small, but it's a bed. And if you pay for like first class rates, for example, you could end up with like having a single, and then you have the option of a shower and stuff like that in your room as well. So it can get rather expensive if you're going that route. But if you're traveling quite a distance, it's totally worth it, because you're also not paying for a hotel. So in the end, it might cost more initially, but you're also saving money on a hotel or so. I'll try and pull up some pictures later to show you the difference between the two as well. Okay? All right. This one was the much discussed one from the homework. So try that one. Platzkarte. Okay, so Karte means what? Ticket or a card, yeah. So in this case, ticket. And Platz is place. So literally, it's a place card. It's holding your seat, because Platz is also a word that is used for seat. Okay, so this is the reservation one. So a reservation ticket. Reservations are not automatic. You have to ask for them. But they are usually very, very, very well worth the money, especially if you're traveling with anybody. Like our group, when we go on the train to Munich, we will have 39 people traveling together. Big group. So you make the reservations, because if you don't, you are spread throughout the entire length of the train. You don't necessarily get to sit next to each other, you know. Even if it was just a pair, sometimes it's hard to find two seats next to each other. Okay, so I'll show you some pictures from that too, and how you can figure out whether that seat is reserved and stuff like that. But if you're going for any stretch at all, especially if you're traveling with people, make reservations. It's worth the $4. Very, very definitely. For example, when I was in high school and did the exchange, we didn't make the reservation, and we were going from Munich to Berlin, and there's probably only like 20 of us or so. But even then, I literally could not find a seat. So the part where the two cars join together, so if you have car 1 and car 2, there's a little like coupling thing in here, so you don't have to walk outside, and you know what I mean? So like on those bendy buses, same kind of concept. So my friends and I had to sit here in the stairwells and get up every time we came into a station, because people needed to use those stairwells to get in and out of the train. Okay, very full. You never know. I mean, it could have been empty, but odds are not good. So keep that in mind. All right. Next one. Try that one. Abteil. Gesundheit.
What's that? You okay?
Great.
Scared. Okay. Rüberspringen. All right, so an Abteil is those little compartments. Think Harry Potter. If you've ever seen the movies, yeah, I know the answer here is yes. Okay.
Can we watch
Yeah, can we watch Harry Potter in German?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
I have one of them in German.
Yes, let's watch it.
Okay, well, we're not doing it now, so let's refocus. I'm glad I have all of this being recorded. Okay, so an Abteil is just the little compartment where you have the sliding door within the bigger compartment, if that makes sense. So you have 5, 6 people sitting in a room. Okay. Do you remember the word for restaurant car? Restaurant. Speisewagen is the more specific train one. Speisewagen. Speise is the word that's used for dish. Like, I'm going to serve you a dish of whatever, or hot dish, that kind of, not the physical, I'm serving it on this, you know what I mean? So, it is literally the dishwagon, okay? It's the restaurant car. Okay. Not all trains have a restaurant car. Some of them have more of a cafe where you can get drinks and snacks and stuff like that. On occasion, you'll find ones that have the longer distance trains will have people that come around with a cart, just like on Harry Potter. Okay, but the Speisewagen, the difference between that and the little cafe one is that you can get full-on meals here. So you can go get soup and schnitzel or whatever. Okay, so it's not necessarily the greatest food and it'll be expensive, but again, if you're on the train for quite a while, it's well worth it. All right. Do you remember first class and second class? Erste Klasse and zweite Klasse. So erste Klasse is first class. Yeah, and they just say first class and second class. They don't call it economy or anything like that. So then zweite Klasse. You'll find very few reasons to purchase a first class ticket. Unless you're looking for a really quiet place, or like they said in the book, if you messed up and didn't get a ticket ahead of time and it's really full. They're very expensive. It's not worth the difference. Okay. So, alright, some sentences. There we go. Okay. So, explanation on this one. In this blank, you'd put the correct form of you to whomever you're talking about, or the name, but most of the time you're going to use it as you. Okay? You are saying, I wish you a nice trip. Okay? So we'll put that down. I wish you a nice trip. Okay, so if somebody was selling you a ticket, for example, this would be a phrase that you might hear from them. Okay? So if you're going to fill this in, whoever it is in dative. So dir, euch, or ihnen, depending on which form of you you'd use. Okay? However, you can shorten it up and just use what's in the brackets. So you could just say to somebody, schöne Reise. Nice trip. Okay? So that's their equivalent of saying, have a nice trip. So if you're trying to say in German, have a nice day, for example, you wouldn't say, haben Sie einen schönen Tag or something like that. You just say, schönen Tag noch, because you're shortening it up from, ich wünsche dir einen schönen Tag noch. So, schönen Tag, schönes Wochenende, whatever. Okay? So we try that one. Ich wünsche dir eine schöne Reise. Does that make sense? I know that one's a little bit more complicated. Okay. Next random phrase. Okay. Try that one. Was machst du auf dem See? Okay. See is one of those example words of why it's important that you learn the correct dirty das word with it, because See has two. And which one you use determines the meaning of the word. It's really unfortunate. But it's der See and die See. Der See means lake, die See means ocean. Sizable difference. General context is the same. In most cases, if you accidentally screwed up and picked the wrong one, you're going to be fine. Okay, but it's still good to know. So what does this one mean, do you think? Was machst du auf dem See? Yeah. Yeah? So we just talked about See. What are you doing on the lake? Yeah. If it was in, Germans are very, very specific. When they're using auf, they literally mean on top of, like, are you in a boat or something? You are physically on top of the water somehow. Okay, odds are good you're in some sort of device. Okay? Unless you're really special and we should talk about your different capabilities or something. Okay? They also use in, and that means you are physically in the water. And they also use on, which means alongside of the lake, like at the lake. So they are very, very specific about it. Okay, so was machst du auf dem See? What are you doing on the lake? Well, it might be a boat, it might be a kayak, it might be pontoon, and they'll also be very specific about what it is. Maybe it's one of those paddleboard things. Okay. Next one. Okay. Try that one. Ich gehe an den See. What do you think that one means now? I'm going. So we just talked about that they use to, in, and on. Which one is this one? I'm going to the lake. How would you ask, how are you all coming to Berlin? Wie? How do you say y'all? Ear. So how do you conjugate it for ear? Kommt. Good. And then ear. How are you all coming to Berlin? What's our next word? Nach. Good. Why did you choose nach and not zu? Well, they both mean to, but nach is used for city, states, and countries. So, sehr gut. So, wie kommt ihr nach Berlin? Okay. Wie sagt man? That is too far. Let's see how much you remember. That is too far. Das? Ja. Zu. Good. Far is the same word as wide. So if you go back and you channel your chapter 7 vocabulary. Weit. Good. Try that one. Das ist zu weit.
Das ist zu weit.
Good.
Too far away.
So for those of you who complain about having to get up and go get the whiteboards or something, because it's too far, now expect it in German. Das ist zu weit. Ich bin faul. I'm lazy. Almost done. Very important phrase for people traveling. Okay, I already tried that one. Ist hier noch frei?
Is not Is this free?
Good. Yeah. So noch is the word for still. So is here still free? Literally. Okay. So is this seat free or is this available? Whatever.
What was that we did the restaurant skits?
Mm-hmm.
That was funny.
So it's not talking about price, just availability. Yeah. Just so we're very clear.
Sir, I must pay.
Remember that GE word from your notes? Check your notes. What does geschafft mean? To manage or yeah, to achieve something.
Have you made it?
Okay? Yeah, so did you make it? Quite literally, did you manage it? Did you achieve it? It's very British sounding when you say it. But did you make it? So if somebody's talking about getting close, like a train connection is close or something, you know, somebody might ask later, hast du es geschafft, you know, did you make it? Okay?
No.
Or if you're running late for German class, you tell your friend I'm going to be late for German, she's going to mark me spät. They would never ask you in German later because they're not in German, so they're not as cool as you. But they could say, hast du es geschafft? Okay. What's the word for tickets again? Karte. Okay, so Fahrkarte is a D word. It's very specific for transportation tickets because of the Fahren. Okay. So it could be a train ticket, it could be a bus ticket, it doesn't matter. Some form of transportation. So how would you ask, did you buy tickets? Hast, good. Du?
Hast du gekauft?
Where does your other part of your verb go? Goes at the end. Good. So, hast du. Did you buy tickets?
Ticketed.
So you're not going to have an ein word because it means so you wouldn't say, did you buy tickets? Fahrkarten. Good. Fahrkarten. And kaufen is a nice normal verb. So how do we make it into the GE word?
Gekauft.
Gekauft. Gekauft. Sounds like karate chopping something.
Just like gekauft.
Okay. So hast du Fahrkarten gekauft? Did you buy tickets?
What?
Just make sure we have that one in there. Okay. What does der Fahrplan mean? Literally, yeah. So this is going to be the schedule. Did you have a question?
Oh, so could you ask, did you buy tickets? Like, how to do, or no? Did you have that?
What are you trying to say in English?
Like,
Other kinds of tickets?
no, like, to ask the same question, could you say, kaufst du? And then
Kaufst du Fahrkarten would be are you buying? So that's the present tense. So this is just the past tense version of it. Hmm. So frequently, if you had this one in here, so hast du Fahrkarten, you will frequently have something like schon already. Did you already buy tickets?
Okay.
Something like that. Mhm. Gut. Fragen?
Nein.
Nein, toll.